The first question would be, uh, the question would be, what is a web service, right? Who needs a web service? And when do you need a web service? Okay, because the biggest thing is we already have communication. Okay, communication between two systems already exists. Okay, now the question is, at what point would we need, or would this communication be not good enough? Okay, so let's actually take a look at the kind of communication that we're talking about. The kind of communication that we're talking about here is a client server communication, which means that a client makes a request for a page and then the server parses the request and sends the data back. Okay, and the data is being sent back as HTML, right? So okay, so here data is being sent back as HTML. But when I say data is sent back as HTML, it technically isn't data. Okay, it is just a document. It is just some information. Okay, if you take a look at this page, there is nothing intelligent or nothing useful about this page. Okay, I cannot really use this piece of HTML and come up with a solution, right? So people wanted a way to send data from one box to another box, okay, without any issues. Okay, so this is a little history. This might be a little boring, but it will lead back to why do we need a web service. Okay, so the way people achieved this connectivity, where they can actually transfer data from one box to another box, okay, the way they did that was via something called remoting. Okay, remoting is, there are two systems, not necessarily remote. They probably could be sitting in one floor of a building and the other system could be sitting in another floor of building. Okay, and to talk between those two systems we would still use remoting. Okay, so this remoting was very specific to the language that we would use, because we had .NET remoting. Okay, and then we have other types of remoting where we would use Java, and its remoting services are way different when compared to what C++ or the C sharp has. Okay, so remoting pretty much became language dependent. Okay, so people came up with an idea where they would say that irrespective of what we would use, okay, irrespective of what data it is, let us talk to each other in a common language. Okay, the common language was chosen to be XML. Okay, now once people started passing information across systems, okay, in a local environment, people wanted a way to do the same, okay, do the same on the internet. So I have a website, okay, which actually deals with students, while you have a website which actually deals with renting furniture. Okay, now if we work together, I can actually help you all, or like I can actually help your website by sending students and referring students, saying that this person has good furniture and they can actually uh, help you rent furniture for required purposes. Okay, So that is the old way where people actually talk to each other. But via websites, what we would do is we would actually have a small window, say on the right hand side. It's actually called a right rail. Okay, so there'd be like a small feed on the right rail which would actually say these are the furniture or the newest furniture that we have. And the way for me to understand that you have the newest, or like the way I would know that those 10 or 15 items are the newest furniture that I can actually put up on my website, you will have to send me some kind of data. Okay, that is being passed through XML, and to transfer, okay, transfer data, who, yeah, web service transports data from one server to another server over HTTP. Okay, remoting is done over TCP. Okay, so this is done over HTTP, and now these days it is HTTPS. Okay, 443 is the port and 8 is the port for HTTP. Okay, now who needs a web service? Almost everybody needs web service. Okay, if we actually have some kind of information, okay, there is some other relative information that is available outside. So it is always important for us to keep our code open to ingest a new a, a new pool of data, because irrespective of how much data we have, with the I mean, with the kind of internet and data transfer that we have these days, any data is not enough. Okay, I've actually had a chance to work with big data very recently. Okay, when I say big data, we are talking about petabytes of data. Okay, not even terabytes, we're talking about petabytes of data. But the guy that I work with complains that that is not enough data for him to generate trends. Okay, so see the irony here. Irrespective of having petabytes of data, we are still not able to uh, perform or generate all the research models that we that the business people want. Okay, so who needs a web service? Anybody who is looking for data available on external sources, or available from external sources. Now when do you need a web service? Okay, to ingest the data from such external resources or external sources, we would need a web service. Okay, now now we'll have to understand what are the available architectures for us to use. Okay, so SOAP is a protocol. It's called Simple Object Access Protocol, while REST is a mm, yeah, REST is representational or state transfer. Was it representative? Let me quickly look it up. Is it representative? Oh, representational. Nice. Okay, so it is representational state transfer. Okay, now we'll get to this in a little bit. Okay, so let's take this out completely. Okay, so or yeah, or let's actually see the main difference. This is a protocol. Okay, while this is just a design. Okay, keep that in mind. This is probably the biggest place where people get confused. People think both of them are protocols, but this is not a protocol. This is just a design. This is just a way people, or this is just a way for us to understand the application. That's it. Where we are taking data, we are changing the state, and we are giving it back to the person who's consuming the web service. Okay, Before we get to rest, let's take a look at SOAP. Okay, SOAP is simple object access protocol. What all it does is it takes data, converts it into XML, and sends it over to the consumer. One thing that we'll have to understand is SOAP uses something called WSDL, which is Web Service Definition Definition Language. Okay, so for two systems to interact via SOAP. Okay, um, okay. So for two systems to interact via SOAP, what we would need, okay, is a SOAP client and a SOAP server. Okay, Munjal, you there? Okay, so Pooja just left. So let's wait for like 1 minute and see if she's back. If not, we can continue with the discussion. Okay, so let's continue. Since we're recording, she'll probably take a look at the video. Okay, so yeah, so what we would need is a SOAP client and a SOAP server. Okay, now the SOAP client, okay, here these two, SOAP client and SOAP server, are unknown systems. So a SOAP client doesn't have any idea as to what SOAP server has. Okay, and you had a question about where do we use interfaces, right? This is a very good,
Yes.
this is a very good use case where C sharp, okay, not technically PHP, but C sharp uses interface to expose SOAP
Sorry, my
services.
battery died.
Yeah, okay. So this is a good place where interfaces can be used to expose the available methods via the SOAP server. Okay. So Pooja was saying that for a SOAP communication to take place, we would need a SOAPs client and a SOAP server. Okay, so here, since the SOAP client has no idea, these two again are remote systems. Okay, it is, say SOAP client is probably living somewhere in India. Okay, they are looking for some kind of data, and via Google or via some kind of a service, they come to know that that service is being provided by SOAP server. Okay, at that point, when they make a call to SOAP server, they cannot directly make a call and know the function names, right? The way they would know the function names is via the WSDL file. Okay, it's pronounced WSDL. Okay, or you could even call it pronounce it by the letters. You could say WSDL. Okay, WSDL is web service definition language. Okay, so once the person takes a look at once the SOAP client takes a look at a WSDL file, okay, at that point they'll get to know what is the data that is available. Okay, so let's take a quick look at an example WSDL file. WSDL file. Okay, so here, now this is a basic WSDL file. Okay, so a WSDL document should have definitions. Okay, and inside the definitions, the first part of the definitions would always be the name of it and all kinds of namespace. So when we say XML NS, it's an XML namespace. Okay, and .xsd is a schema file. Okay, is a schema file, and here it's saying that it uses this SDL, where this WSDL file. So let's see if you can actually hit this WSDL file and see if it's for real. No, it's not. Okay, okay. So this looks like it's a dummy web service. Okay, so here the main thing that we'll have to understand is going to be the message part. Okay, here get endorsing border request. Okay, is uh yeah. So this one is the request that can come in. Okay, while it would actually map to get endorsing border. Okay, or border. Okay, and in here we'll also have to look at the address location. Okay, where the data is being served from. Okay, so this is the service part. So the name of the service is endorsement search service. Okay, and this is basic a high level idea as to what the what the company or what the website does. Okay, and the binding, where they mention ES endorsement search SOAP binding. Okay, so here they are clearly saying that it's SOAP binding. Okay, and then they are actually giving the port. Okay, which would be like a, it's technically not a HTTP port, but it is more of a port on their side. Okay, so this would be the port that would actually serve data to us. Okay, so I mean, again, do not try and understand all these, just keep these in mind. Okay, once you actually start implementing these, you'll get more knowledge of what these are. Okay, these, I mean, this is only to uh, help you all understand that this is how a visual file looks, and these are all the different things that exist in the visual file. Okay, uh, so yeah, so that's pretty much like a basic idea. This actually gives us an idea as to what function to call. So it is going to be get endorsing border. Okay, or border. Okay, so now let's take it down. Okay, so now that was the example visual file. Now the next question is, how do we generate a visual file? Okay, so the steps would be, first is obviously going to be build a SOAP server. Okay, that is going to expose information or expose data. Once you build the soap server, at that point you will have to build the WSDL file. Okay, once you have both the soap server and WSDL file, third thing is going to be building a soap client. Okay, so one thing about PHP is PHP in itself doesn't have very strong soap server APIs. Okay, so developing soap uh, developing soap web services out of the box from PHP is not a not an easy process. So what we would do is we would actually use a library called NU soap. Okay, NU soap to build uh, our soap web services. Okay, so NU soap again comes with its own libraries. Okay, and we'll actually, I believe, use one of those libraries and build the uh, uh, build the soap services. Okay, I'll be sending you, or I've just sent you the link to the soap services. Okay, they are hosted on sourceforge.net. Okay, so just download them. Okay, yeah, just download them and place them in your document root. Okay, so I'm waiting. Yeah, you know what, let's use command line for this one. So dominate, so it will be cd downloads. Yeah, so it will be unzip new SOP. So we have all the data here. Okay, so now let's see, you know what, let's actually close this guy out. Let's save some memory and let's close this guy out. Okay, so it says sample, so let's actually see what's in the samples. This is not what we're looking for. There should be something called NUSOAP. Okay, so it probably is in the lib folder. Yep. Okay, so now let's leave them here. Let's copy the soap zip file. Okay, right. So let's copy NUSOAP into var ww training. Yeah. So let's build our soap folder. Let's say make directory soap. Okay. So in soap again, let's make another directory called NUSOAP. Okay. So now let's copy NUSOAP into soap NUSOAP. Let's go in there and unzip again. Zip. Okay. So now we have everything under one roof. Okay, so we need not worry about that one because we just copied it, we did not move it, so we don't lose it. Okay, we will not lose it. There is a copy still in the downloads folder. Okay, let's go into lib and take a look at what is all available in the lib. And even before that, since we have the change log here, let's look at change log. Okay, so let's say more change log. So here, if we take a look, oh, it looks like, okay, so let's actually do tail because it is actually showing all the changes from 2003. Okay, so it's obvious that there are more changes. So let's say tail 100. Okay, so the last few changes are these. Okay, so the last change that was made was put in 2010 April 26th. Okay, so it looks like they have made a few changes to the SOAP server, SOAP client, and the SOAP parser to add regular expressions. Okay, so that seems to be the whole deal with this set. Okay, and then over that there are some changes that were made to how the visual file is generated. Okay, and so on. So now let's clear it up. So that was lib, right? Or even before that, let's also look at nusoap.php file, because this would be the PHP file that we would actually be using. Okay, so these are a bunch of comments, and he is the author of it, Ayala. Okay, and here what they're doing here is they actually are loading required classes. Okay, and the class name is nusop base underscore base. Okay, and these are all the properties of that class. Okay, and then there should be, yeah, so here start the methods. Okay, for that class and so on. Okay, now let's also take a look at class.wisdom.php. Okay, now here what this is it parses a WSDL file, allows access to its data. Other utility methods also builds WSDL structures programmatically. Okay, so this probably is going to be another class that we would use. So here again you all see that these are the properties. Okay, and then we are using function WSDL. Okay, okay, so it's this one is the constructor because same as the class name. Next is to fetch a WSDL. Okay, it fetches the WSDL document and parses it. Okay, and then there should be another one. Okay, which is parse WSDL. Okay, so when we actually are making the call, okay, this is the function that we'll use, and then there should be one more. Okay, so this pretty much is a wrapper function which actually is building the XML for the WSDL file. So these are big functions. What I would suggest is go through them. They'll be of a lot of help. Okay, they'll be of a lot of help. Trust me. Okay, and so on. Okay, so we have get operation and all that fun stuff. This kind of a, I mean, this is pretty much like a big library. Okay, so what I would suggest is go through them. Okay, now now that we have our now that we've taken a look at the library files for NUSOP, let's go into samples. Okay, so samples are the examples that they have provided us. Okay, now okay, so now let's begin with say index.html. Okay, so let's go to training. Okay, www.training.com. Soap NUSOP. Obviously. Okay, so what happened here is these are owned by root, right? So we'll have to change the permissions. Chown minus or Apache. Oh, you know what? It's www data. So if you're working on a Red Hat distribution, it is going to be Apache. But if you are working on a Ubuntu or a Debian distribution, it is going to be www data. Keep in mind. I mean, these are the questions that people can ask you, so keep in mind.
What did you say for Red Hat?
Yeah. So for Red Hat, so what I was actually talking about was the, so this here is the username, right?
Mm-hmm.
For Red Hat, it is going to be Apache.
Okay, okay.
Okay. Or I mean, for Red Hat or Fedora or CentOS, it is going to be Apache. But for Ubuntu and all Ubuntu, Xubuntu, and all these uh, Debian operating systems, it is going to be www data. Okay. Now let's go in here. It's NUSOP. Yeah, cd NUSOP. Then samples. So we have the index.html file inside samples. So, okay. So now it says that these links allow you to launch sample clients. Okay. As of 26th April 2010, most of them don't work. But never mind. Let's actually take a look at one of them and see what's up with it. Looks like it doesn't work. Oh, it does work. Okay. So what is going on? So it looks like they're spitting out the request, the response. So they're just var dumping out the request and response. Okay. Now this doesn't make a lot. This isn't very helpful, right? So let's actually, which one did I do? This one. Yeah. So it was this one. So let's go to hello Visual. Okay. For that, it is going to be wsvisual 3.php. Okay. wsdl. Oh, you know what? It's going to be client 3.php. Okay. So in here, okay, in here, in USVP client, they are calling this visual file. Okay. So now let's actually look at that visual. Okay. So now this is a real-time visual. Okay. So let's close this out for 1 second. Okay. So in here, okay, in here, what we have is we are making a call to this page. Okay. So this guy scottnicole.com. Okay, Scott Nicole is the, I mean, obviously that's understood, right? So he's actually building this thing. Okay, so he's exposing the server. Okay, and in here, what we are doing is we are making a call to the visual file. Okay, to uh, get data. Okay, for us to understand what kind of data are we getting, we'll have to go through this visual file to understand what are all the things that we have. Okay, so let's take a look at this schema. So schema, like any other thing, is obviously the uh, the data that would actually come back, and at the same time the schema is going to be the rule with which we can either access it or we can build it. Okay, so in this case it is going to be accessing. Okay, so here the complex type it says is, okay, so there are differences between a complex type and a regular data type. A regular data type would be say like a string, an integer, a boolean, a float, a double, and so on. Okay, complex types on the other hand are pretty much like objects. Okay, so it looks like a, a person in here is an object. Okay, and person has first name, age, and gender. So there might be a person call somewhere which would actually return this data. Okay, at the same time there is also a sweepstakes greeting. Okay, which would actually give us the greeting and the winner. Or yeah, I mean, I don't know. So let's actually go through this information. Okay, and it looks like hello is the name of the function that we are looking for. Okay, so let's go back to our code and see what is this guy doing, because there has to be something called action that they'll be referring to. Okay, they're not. Okay, here. So here they're making a call here. Okay, to hello to fetch the data, or at this point they're just building the call. Okay, once we go in here, we'll have to look for action somewhere. So let's actually go step by step. Let's close this out. Action would not be in the types. Since we already have the complex data types, it should not show up in the messages. So it should show up in the binding. Okay, so these are all messages. We don't want the port type. Yeah, right here. Okay, so in the soap action, okay, okay, in the soap action, URN is uniform resource namespace. Okay, and the namespace that we're using is hello visual 2. Okay, and the action that we would use is hello. Okay, so that is why we have the operation and the name is hello visual 2 dot hello. Okay, and let's scroll down. Okay, so one or like a few things that we'll have to keep in mind are, okay, so a service, a binding, a port type, okay, and the types, these are very important. Okay, so a service is the one that says that this is the location to the web service. Okay, and it gives us a basic binding. Okay, and here we see this is the port that is exposing the data, and this would actually give us a basic idea of what the operation is. Okay, and what is the, and also gives us a basic documentation of what the function would do. Okay, since this is more of an example, we might not, it might not make a lot of sense, but once we look at a real visual file, let me see if there is one, everything would make more sense. Let's see if this makes, this is expected, this works. This is stock code visual. Okay, so even stock code visual seems to exist, but before that, let's see where does it exist. You know what? It doesn't exist because we are getting a an error in the request. Okay, I don't think it exists. So let's hold on. Okay, never mind. So let's go to client one.php. You know what? Forget it. Okay, so this is how. So so there are, long story short, there are samples in here. Okay, so if there are any questions or if you want to actually take a look at a more complex example, okay, take a peek into the samples folder. Now what we can do, okay, is,
I have a quick question, Sai.
yeah,
Do you ever have to write a whistle from scratch?
no,
Okay,
no,
great. Thanks. Continue.
no. So WSDL is complex enough So what we would do is we would actually use the NUSOP project, okay, to generate the WSDL. And the way we would do that, okay, let me quickly go back to the terminal. So NUSOP lib, okay. So we'll use one of these classes. Most probably it is going to be class.WSDL.php to generate WSDL files, okay. Uh, so I mean, see, these are the other what is it? These are the other classes that we will use to build, what is it, SOAP clients and SOAP servers. But NUSOP.php and class.whistle.php are probably the most important files in this folder. Okay, now we have like 10-15 minutes left, so I'll not begin with the SOAP example today, but let's go through a very basic example. Okay, so in here, this one doesn't look very good, so never mind. So let's probably build an example. Okay, so let's go to the NUSOP documentation. Not sure if there will be any documentation. Okay, so there is something here. Let's see. No, so there is no documentation. Yeah, see, I was trying to avoid this kind of examples because they make it complex. They don't want to keep them simple. So, and at the same time, let's see if this guy can help you out. Code project is pretty awesome. So probably yeah, they would. Okay. So now this is a basic example, okay, of how to build a SOAP server, okay, or a SOAP service which would allow us to generate or build the or host the data. Okay, so now let's go back in here. In here, let's say hello world service.php. Okay, so the first thing is going to be getting the paths right. Okay, sudo bash. Okay, to get our paths right. Okay, so the first thing obviously, okay, is going to be to import the library. The library lives in NUSOP lib slash NUSOP dot php. Okay, because if we do a list all on NUSOP, okay, it will be that. Let's see if we can do a list recursive. Doesn't work. Yeah, so this is a good way, okay, of doing a recursive list. Okay, so we'll do NUSOP lib and then we're looking for NUSOP. Okay, so now let's actually go in to lib, or we'll say lib NUSOP PHP. Okay, now let's look for SOAP server. Okay, and here it looks like, so is it, so we'll probably create an object for this guy, but it doesn't look like there is a class, or let's keep looking. Okay, okay, awesome. So what they've done here is they've actually made sure that they extend any SOAP server from any SOAP server, so that everything in this object gets into this object. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just say dollar SOAP server is equal to new SOAP server. Okay, and like we have done with other objects, we would start by, okay, um, yeah, we would start by taking a look at everything that is available. Class methods. Oh, by the way, did you all install what is it? Sublime Text or any other IDE?
Come again, sorry?
Yeah. So did you all install Sublime Text? I'll send you what it is. So I
No.
actually sent you all. It was long back, not recently. Uh, so it's a text editor. Okay, Sublime Text is a text editor. Okay, when we get into more object oriented programming, unless we are very good with the methods in our mind, what what's normally suggested is to uh, use either a text editor, which is normally lightweight, or use an IDE, say like Eclipse or Visual Studio or something, okay, to generate data. So give me 1 minute. I'll show you all how Sublime Text looks like, and you all can decide if you all want to install it. Sublime Text. Okay. So if I want to create a PHP file, I'll say doesn't look like I can save it. Okay, yeah, I can save. So it will be, so let's say desktop. Okay, test.php. Okay, oh, there already is there. Okay, so we'll say test1.1.php. Okay, so at that point it would give us colors, and sometimes I'm not sure if it would give here. Yeah, so it would also give us the autocomplete functionality. So it's auto connect. See here, this is something that I don't like. It doesn't. Okay, no, it doesn't. So so some IDs help us out by telling us the arguments that it would take. Okay, or if I say, let's see, um, dollar dom is equal to new dom. Oh, simple XML. Okay, so it doesn't look like this editor has the IntelliSense for classes. So probably the other option is Eclipse. Okay, Eclipse with PHP plugin. Okay, so I mean having VI is awesome. Uh, at the same time, I mean, like they all say, if you know more, you are the choice. So it's important for us to understand more and know more Eclipse for PHP. I'll send you all the link for it. So try and install it at some point and see if you all like it, and spend at least a little time on it. So be 64. Okay, so I don't want to download it. Okay, so this will be the IDE. Okay, for oh yeah, for PHP. Okay, download it. Okay, and let me see if we can actually show you all. Okay, so here is Eclipse. Okay, so I'll be running this on Mac, so I cannot really run a file, but it normally takes a little time. Okay, but I'll I like Let me quickly see if I can execute data. PHP. Okay, so I have PHP installed, so that's nice. I use Eclipse with Java. Yeah, it's very similar to Eclipse with Java, man. Yeah, it's just an IDE, right? So it's always good. This is usage data cancel. What the hell, man? Don't turn it off. Finish. Okay. So why isn't it going big? Yeah. Mm, I know, but it is awesome plus free. Yep. Yep. That's the best part. Um, so in here, I mean, it's nothing hard, right? It's very simple. So all you'll do is you'll just say, the hell? Folder must be specified. See, sometimes this actually can get a little. See, all I did was okay. So let me add a PHP project. Project name hello world or hello DOM. Okay. Mm, finish. Okay. So in this, okay. So we'll have to go to hello DOM. Ah, Jesus. New PHP file. So it'll be hello DOM. See, the only thing is it is actually heavy, so it actually takes a little time before it loads something. If I say simple, okay, so this is a good part, okay, or for that matter, if I want to say dom document, okay, I would actually take it and it would actually say that I'll have to give the version and encoding, okay, so it is helpful. So this would show up. This would mainly be of a lot of help when we are doing object-oriented programming. Okay, so yeah, go over it. It's always yeah, always exit without prompt. I don't like it. Okay, so it's always good to have more information and more knowledge. Okay, and the installation takes around 5 or 10 minutes, not more than that. It's a pretty straightforward installation. It's more of a click, 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 finish kind of an installation. So go over it, okay, and that would avoid. I mean, I like it this way. By the way, I'll be honest. I actually like it this way, where we can actually do whatever we want to do. Okay. Uh, so yeah, tomorrow. I mean, it's already 8:58. So let's get back tomorrow and let's finish building a soap server. Okay, and then let's also write a basic soap client to take that data. Okay, and while we are building the soap server, we'll also build the or we'll also write a way as to how uh, we can generate the visual file so that our client can take the visual file and use it. Okay, in the meantime, do you all have any questions with today's session? No questions. Awesome. How is your resume preparation coming along? Any questions with that?
Mine's not coming along very well. I asked Prashant as to what he wants me to do with the PHP projects. He said just write whatever you have learned in the last few months alongside with your original resume.
Really?
So, yeah.
That's interesting. Okay, I don't. Yeah, I actually.
So, how do I actually take my project from there and write PhD alongside it.
Um, See, honestly, I
I
don't know what he meant by that. Okay, because normally what what everybody does is you you'll get like five or six template or like existing resumes. You'll
Mhm.
actually pick a project from each resume and put them in your resume, and that
Mhm.
is how you'll market the resume. That is the
Okay,
process that
that
I'm
is
familiar with.
easy, but how do I know the first question in any interview will what are the problems you faced
Of course,
on real time?
of course.
So what do I tell them?
Yeah, I mean, so the first thing is to understand what the project is. I mean, if you
Yeah.
have like five or six points in it, you'll have to go through the projects. And again, you will just have to cook up a story. But the most important thing is you'll have to stick to that story and you'll have to make it as convincing as possible. Yeah, I mean, that is why we are covering all the rest, soap, and all this fancy stuff. Okay. But yeah, I mean, trust me, you'll be
Okay.
good. So once you're at a place where you're like 10% done or 15% done with your resume, we'll obviously go over it. So it's not like you'll have to finish it 100% and only then will we go over it. No, no, we'll go over it at every 15% or 30% or 45% and so on, or whenever you
Okay.
are have questions with it. Yeah,
Okay.
but the main thing is to get started on it. So
Okay.
unless, yeah, so once you get started, you will at least have a an ETA in your mind, as in how much, where you are, or like a basic estimate as to where you are, what is left, how much do you have to mug up, how much would you have to learn, and so on, all that stuff. So
Okay.
it'll be an awesome process, trust me.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, if anybody has questions with resume, hit me up. We'll talk about it. If not,
Thank you.
let's take a break at this point and get back tomorrow at 8 p.m. EST.
Sai, quick question. Is Sunday's class related to the soap thing too?
Yeah, so Sunday we did not have a class.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, I did not want to cover something as important as soap on. I mean, when you are not available, I want to make sure that all of us are there.
But the thing is, probably I just understood about 10% of what you said today. Probably I'll have to go through again.
Yeah, I mean, so honestly, today was more to,
Introduction?
I won't say introduction, but it's, yeah, we can call it introduction. Uh, See, again, Pooja and Munjal both. How do you do it is the simplest part. Okay, why should you do it is the biggest part, because I guess Munjal was asking me like a few days back as to what an interface is and what an abstract class is.
Hmm.
So I've asked that question 100 times. Uh, Trust me, I mean, so I don't mind answering it 100 times either, because I've actually asked that question. But so understanding why you'll have to do it is probably the most important part, because how do we do it is a piece of code. I mean, trust me, because if you go to Google, okay, I mean, as an example here, right, if I want to know how to build a web service, okay, this is how I build it. It's as simple as that, right? But why do we have to put this? So that was covered today. Okay, why do we need a web service? I mean, it's just returning your name back, right? But you'll have to there is a reason why you're building a web service, so that was covered today. Okay,
Okay.
so long story short, yeah, you're right, it was an introduction.
Great.
Okay, so yeah, go through this again. In the meantime, take time and get good with the XML part. Okay,
Yeah, sure.
all right, guys, see you all
Hey,
tomorrow.
Sai, I have a
Yeah, Munjal.
question.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
That's fine. We can go tomorrow. I'll go through tomorrow. That's fine too. It's all about resumes.
Yeah, it's about resume. So what is your question though?
Just because when okay, Prashant told me to send a resume to him, so I sent it to him. But as Pooja is telling that he told her to like put some kind of project in it by herself or something. He never talked about that kind of stuff to me.
What kind of stuff?
we never actually got in a talk about what I'm going to do with my resume now because I sent my resume to him.
Okay.
Yeah, I called him up and tortured him, so that's the reason he had to. So I think that's what you gotta do to Prashant.
Yeah.
I guess now I probably call it tomorrow too.
Yeah. I mean, again, so I mean, take your time, Munjal. I mean, I would say be aggressive at this point. Uh, it is your job, so you'll have to be aggressive. Uh, and again, for you, Prashant is the only resource to talk to and to get things done. But for Prashant, it's there are like many resources. So he's a busy man. Uh, so yeah, just at least just remind him, give him a call, and ask him for sample resumes and ask what are the plans. Okay, because at this point I would say that you all have to start building your resumes. It will take a 1 or 2 week process. After that, there would be like a first review, second review, and then you all have to be comfortable with your resume, because you all should be comfortable with your first project, second project, and at a minimum third project. uh, yeah, trust me. I mean, the first few interviews are going to be tricky, uh, where I mean, it's like any other thing. When you try it for the first time, you'll have to go through a few steps where you learn stuff, right? So it is going to be a tricky process for like the next 1 month. It'll define a lot of stuff for you
So
all.
basically, you're saying in the first 1 month we'll be embarrassed to death.
Not necessarily embarrassment, but yeah. I mean, you'll have to. There'll be a little embarrassment. There'll be a little sorrow. There'll be a little. There'll be a few witty moments where people take and understand what you say. So you'll actually, at the end of the call, you'll kind of would be in. Uh, you'll have a question mark as to if you said the right thing or if he understood the right thing. Um so it'll be a long story short. It'll be a memorable process. Memorable 1 month. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Sai. Anyway, I don't want to talk to you anyway.
All right.
You're making me nervous.
Yeah. So it is about time to get nervous. It's get nervous now rather than getting nervous during the interview. So get all the nervousness at the
Out
moment.
of me right now,
Yeah.
yeah. I know. All
Uh,
right.
for now,
Yeah.
you all take it easy
Okay,
and
Sai.
go through some XML fun stuff. Okay.
Bye. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
See you all
Thanks,
tomorrow.
Sai. Good night.
Good night. Bye.